Welcome back to the latest episode of Cracking the Code with Chris Bowen, founder and CISO of ClearDATA, the leading managed cloud and defense provider for healthcare organizations. And Chris, in today's episode, we want to discuss the latest cybersecurity legislation and industry trends. And in a recent interview with the Washington Post, Anna Neuberger, the Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technology in the Biden administration, said that the creation of additional healthcare cybersecurity standards and guidance would be an upcoming area of focus for the White House. She even went as far as to say the US is pretty much last in the race when it comes to putting in place minimum security standards for critical infrastructure compared to peer countries. And I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on such a bold position, and how can the healthcare industry prepare for increased attention from the executive branch?
Yeah, I think she's absolutely right. I would go even a little bit further, Ryan. I would actually say that of the segments of critical infrastructure within the U.S., healthcare is behind there as well. So I think not only from a country perspective, but healthcare, cybersecurity, particularly with the providers, is woefully behind. And the good news is I think they can catch up. And there's a pretty solid pathway for them to do so. It just takes time, money, patience, and stakeholder buy-in. But I do agree with Ann. I think CISA is right on the money on that one. And hopefully we can help do something about that.
Right. And last year we saw the administration's executive order to improve national cybersecurity. So that was EO 14028. That was in May 2021. Which focused on improving the nation's cybersecurity through public-private partnerships and an emphasis on improving security within federal information systems. What sort of progress have you seen since this EO was declared? Where has healthcare and the government done well, and where can we improve even further?
Yeah, I haven't been directly tied to the efforts. I remember when that executive order came out, I had mixed reviews about it. I was hopeful, but I have not known the federal government to do much in terms of pushing the ball down the field, if you will, compared to some of the other countries that we work with. I do like the information sharing information with others about cyber attacks. It's very difficult to protect yourself against a cyber attack if you don't know what the indicators of compromise are, if you don't know what that attack looks like. And so some of the benefits of that executive order hopefully will yield in some greater sharing of that intelligence. I do think that there's a lot to do. I think the federal government still lacks a lot of the speed that it needs to have with regard to putting these defenses in place, putting these measures in place, and really helping the critical infrastructure elements, or the segments, if you will, have the protection we need. I'll even go so far as to say that the federal government really needs to get into high gear, especially when we see nation states attacking the US, attacking private entities within the US. It's very difficult for the cybersecurity team, for example, to defend their own company, their own hospital system, whatever it is, against an attack that's being bought and paid for with nation state tax dollars, with an unlimited supply. So the other thing I would add, Ryan, is that on the ransomware side, healthcare still has a huge problem with ransomware. I saw in 2020, I saw the Europol enforcement officers would actually go after some of these guys that would steal the Bitcoins. They would take the Bitcoin, they would take the money. I started to see, it was probably 12, 18 months later, that the FBI started doing some of that. And again, I think we just need to be faster. I think we need to be bolder. And I think we need to really roll up our sleeves and push the needle from a speed perspective.
Right. No, I completely agree. And on a similar note, but still on the topic of cybersecurity trends, researchers have recently warned that there has been a 633% year-over-year increase in cyber attacks launched against open source software repositories. So this new research suggests that cyber attackers are well aware of organizational reliance on open source software, and they're increasing their attempts to compromise those repositories year over year. And I'm curious to get your thoughts. How should developers and cybersecurity professionals address these trends?
Well, first of all, it's easy. It's too easy actually for the developers in the world to just grab a piece of open source, quote open source software, slap it into an application, and potentially accelerate their ability to push out an application. The problem is a lot of organizations don't do the diligence that's necessary to make sure that those code repositories, those open source software bundles, if you will, actually have been scanned, have been purged of any malware. Um, it's important for the development teams to not just throw this code out there and hope for the best. You need to really do your diligence on that. You need to make sure that it's clean code. You make sure that it's free of outdated elements within it. For example, Log4j is still out there. It's still going to be out there for a long, long time. It's just a big deal to do your diligence on the open source. I would recommend that organizations certify open source repositories, open source code to meet their own compliance requirements, to meet their own security requirements, and then of course belts and suspenders, if you will. Not only do your diligence, but then test it before you push the code into production or into staging, and then both a static testing perspective as well as from a dynamic full production or full staging perspective before you push it to production. It's a challenge, and developers have strong opinions. The security guys have strong opinions, and hopefully we can all just get along by doing what the security guy says. I'm just kidding. We have to figure out a way to make it work together for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the last topic we want to cover down on this episode, we recently saw the Medical Device Innovation Consortium, so MDIC, which is a member of HSCC, announced the release of the first medical device cybersecurity maturity industry benchmarking report. Can you walk us through the major findings of that report?
No, because I haven't read the full report. It came out this afternoon. However, I have I've been sitting in the HSCC for several years. I've been representing ClearDATA in that organization. It's a great organization. If you haven't explored it and you're in healthcare, please explore it. It's just a great way to help provide insights to the industry. But a couple of years ago, we were actually talking about what the medical device problem is in the US. And the challenge that we're seeing is there was really not an inventory of all these medical devices. Where are they? It's very difficult to protect and secure something that you have no idea where it is. And so I applaud the efforts of the MDIC. I applaud the FDA, and Suzanne, especially with who represents the FDA in the Health Sector Cyber Council Working Group. It's a long time in coming. There's been a lot of folks, Becton Dickinson, Stryker, all kinds of folks have been coming to the table to try to figure out how to solve some of these challenges. And I expect to see greater and greater collaboration and greater security. The last thing you want to see is some kind of medical device fail because of some Log4j issue that's been exploited by bad guys. And let's be honest, medical devices have Log4j embedded in all kinds of devices. So it's a really important thing, and I applaud the working group, the baseline survey. Make sure you go read it. Hopefully we put that link up on the screen and you go check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll add that in so everyone can track through and follow it. And yeah, certainly never a dull moment in healthcare. Always new things coming online. So thank you for your time today, Chris. And thank you to our viewers for tuning into this episode of Cracking the Code. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Ryan.